You've turned their pages, now hear their voices. Today we have Richie Rivera. Hi, Richie.
Hello.
This is our only second time recording, so
It sure is.
let's hope it's the last. I mean, not you're welcome on any time, but I'm saying redoing this podcast.
Yeah, because we had to redo it.
We did. It was being a dumb heifer. Okay, so let's talk about Blessed Three.
Yes.
What gave you the
So,
inspiration?
so the inspiration for Blessed Three came from a mixture of like real stuff in my life and a mixture of elements that like I picked up off of shows that I grew up loving and escaping reality into, such as like Charmed, Buffy, The Vampire Diaries, things like that. Sorry.
Is that all you're going to say about it?
um, so it's basically it's more so like mostly inspired from Charmed. It's a witchy fantasy romance, but the huge difference that separates this from Charmed is that it's got a gay male lead character, just to prove that gay heroes can be just as compelling and interesting as any other protagonist.
And you have your best friends a part of your books, Caleb
Yes,
and Casey,
I sure
and your
do.
husband, Robert,
Yes,
who is Colton.
yes. Um, yeah, so I included like real life people, which was great. So it was easy for me, especially writing the first book, because I had characters already built up. They were based on, real people in my life. And originally this was supposed to be something like fun, personal, just for me. It was never supposed to be actually read by other people. I had the, specifically book one was on my computer for almost 5 years, unread by anybody but me.
And one day
So
you just decided, let's do it.
I must have been manic. That's the joke I always make. Like I must have been manic that day, but I decided, um, for New Year's, I was like, I'm gonna do all the things this year that I always wanted to do, but for some reason made excuses or just didn't do it. So putting out the books was one of them. There was like other things, but putting out the books was one of those things, and I did it, and I have no regrets. I'm very happy that I did.
I'm super glad you did too. I just finished book two. You got to witness that on CC Wilder's live. I
Yes.
didn't expect it. You have your books have a lot of aspects into it. I can't give away too much. Magic is one of them. Found
Yes.
family. We
Yes.
love a found family.
I believe found family is like one of the most, I feel like, the best tropes possible, because it's something that anybody can relate to. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like, there are people that are close to their family and good for you, but I feel like um true family is like the family that you choose, not the family that you're born into. You know what I mean? Like the family that you choose to be there for and be loyal to and be a part of because you want to, not because you have to, or you have some sort of blood obligation to. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's something that I want people to take away from this book and feel like, oh, like I want to, find my own type of family like that. Like, it doesn't mean you have to love your, biological family any less. But I feel like found family is such a beautiful trope. It's my favorite. And that's why it's like such a big central part of the story, because it's a central part of my life. My closest people and are the people I chose, you know what I mean? Are my best friends.
That's beautiful. I'm glad that you added that in there. There's a couple of fight scenes that you also have in your books. Um, what made you want to bring the action?
So Buffy. So that's where like I felt like Charmed was so good, but it was missing so many things. And one of them was that, like, you can just throw a potion bottle at every problem. Like, there was no aspects of them training. There was no aspects of them like, working on more than just like memorizing spells from a book. It was more about like they had to learn to fight too. Like so I wanted in, the Blessed Three universe, I want witches to be warriors. And part of being a warrior you have to, know how to fight as well. So, witches in my story have the innate ability to fight. Their magic kind of, boosts that, so it comes kind of natural to them. And it's up to their guardians to like help them focus that power and learn it and understand it and train them to be warriors. And I just thought it would just make the story more interesting than them running around chasing demons and skimpy outfits like Charmed. You know what I mean? And I loved Buffy. That was one of the best parts of Buffy was the action scenes. We loved seeing her fight the villains. So I wanted to see a little bit of that too. I wanted to see, let's see a gay guy kicking some butt. You know what I mean? I felt like it just I think it brings a little bit of something to the story.
It is 1000% your fault. The reason I haven't slept in the last few nights.
Vampires.
Vampires chasing me, trying to unalive me. Fucking warehouse is burning down. It is solely your fault. And there's no outrunning them. So thank you. I appreciate the sleep deprived days of vampires and shit burning.
You're welcome. But I think it's over now.
Hmm.
Now that you've pushed through book two, things are about to get so interesting, and I'm sure you have so many questions because you've learned the one of the biggest. There are other bigger reveals. I love this one. This is the first huge plot twist that has been like surrounding the story from the beginning, and there are much more coming that go back to the beginning still, that we don't know about. But like as of right now, this was one of the huge first bombs, and it's a smaller bomb than the other ones. So, but then I feel like in its own way though, it's huge because it's like people don't ever see it coming. Um, and there's a lot of fun to be had, I'm sure. Just reading the last two and hearing the references to the person who was revealed. I'm sure people have questions, you know what I mean? Like wondering, like, what was it like for them? What was, you know what I mean? Like, we're going to get to see all that and understand all that. And um, there's going to be a lot more of that person. The entire next book is central. That person's here and they're not going anywhere right now. So,
The amount of, oh my gosh, I wish my brain would work. The amount of twists and turns that your book has, I should say books as plural because it's a series, um, kind of throws you off guard, and you almost got me crying live today. So it's good.
Yeah, I love that. I love to throw plot twists, but more so I like to immerse people in other ways too, like not just with a good plot twist, but with overall good like character development, with like emotionally connecting with the characters in their private moments, because um, essentially, like especially the chapter that you were reading on live, that's a very private moment between you know those two individuals and or more so the one, and you get to witness that as the reader, you know what I mean? So you're like in like just imagine if this was like real life, you know what I mean? Like you're in that private moment with that character, so you of course are going to feel the emotions that that character is feeling, and that's why I kind of wrote it that way. I really wanted people to be like in that moment with them, like wow, like this is like, you know what I mean, almost like oh my god, I should not be reading this kind of thing, like this is a private moment. And it's also I wanted, and I hope that it was for that for you as well, like one of those little moments that makes the pain hurt less. um you know what I mean, when you see that light at the end of the tunnel, like it's not that far, you know what I mean, like there is a light. um and I feel like that's the moment in reading the story that you feel that for the first time, where like maybe everything is going to be okay. um and that's something that I wanted to happen too, because I do like people to be like anxiety and what's happening next, but I also want to give those moments of peace where you're like, maybe everything's gonna be okay.
I wish I could blame you for my lack of sleep right now and being tired, but it's not your fault this time.
This time.
Yeah, this time. The last few days, that that was your fault. I
You made
literally
it through
woke
that.
up.
I'm so excited.
Listen, listen closely, Richie. I had to wake my husband up at like 2 o'clock in the morning one night because I literally thought I was in the burning building. And I was like, babe, 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 babe. And he's like, what? And I was like, can you hold me? And he's like, yeah. And so he turned over and wrapped his arm around me. And I was just like, okay, it's fine. We're safe.
Yeah. I because of the first chapter, I felt like so the first chapter, book two, obviously is where that's coming from. And I felt like that's probably the first time that things get really dark in Blessed Three, like in the series. There's it's not going to be the last, but that's the first time like where book one was so lighthearted and funny, and you're introducing these characters, and it's like they're battling evil and all these things happen, and then shit gets really real at the end, and like it's not fun anymore. Suddenly it's like, whoa, wait a minute, this just went from fun to not so fun. And then things are really dark in the beginning, and I felt like that was so important to start book two that way, because when you first enter the stage of grief, it's dark. It's a dark place, and I wanted to convey that, like, you're entering a dark moment in history right now. So, book two is so there's so much emotions in book two, so much anger, grief, pain, versus the more lightheartedness of book one. So it's a huge shift. Um,
But people need to realize that this book is based on Richie's life. The books. I need to stop saying book because it's plural. Um, but it is based on his real life. So the hard scenes that you're seeing, you're getting a real glimpse into the rawness and the emotion of Richie's book. And I'm not spoiling it, by the way. So
yeah, there's a lot of elements, but I also always like to bring it back to like the fun. Like they need to have their, no matter what, whether it's dark or light, there's always that banter. There's always that comfort of, again, the found family. No matter if things are crazy or if things are peaceful, they remain a constant in each for each other. You know what I mean? Their little found family, their group is always together, and they always bring it home and ground everybody with their little cute banter and their little funny, like, just the way that they are with each other. And I feel like that grounds people, because there's a lot going on sometimes, and it's like people are everywhere, and it's like then you get back to their like funny little jokes, and you're like, okay, we're back, we're home, we're kicking it, everything's good.
and there is a lot of banter between you, Kayla, and Casey. Even Colton is in there, and you guys are just a whole bunch of smartasses. So, I mean, it makes some of us feel like we're right at home.
Oh yeah, and the funny thing is too, like, so we've talked about this, that when Casey and Kayla first read like this, you know, a little bit of the first book, and they were like, "How did you know that that's something that I would say?" Like, they were so surprised about how well I was able to capture their personalities, in writing their characters. And I'm like, we've been friends our, like, most of our lives, so I know exactly what you would say in any given scenario. I know exactly how you'd react. I know your body language. I know everything you would do in any given moment. So they were surprised at how well I was able to like convey that. So it's funny that, like, people love these characters, but just know that these are based on real people, so you love the real people.
No, when you fall in love with them, you're just like, you immerse yourself in the book and you immerse yourself in the characters. Um, and truly beautiful how you have a good dialogue, but a good plot. It's not super heavy. I mean, granted, you have more dialogue than plot, but
Yes,
you
I like
need the dialogue.
to feel like we're in there. Yeah,
It's important because you get all sides of it.
yeah, I like that they. So I don't know if you get that vibe while you're reading it, but I like it to read like you're watching a show. Like I like you know what I mean. Like it plays out like scenes. It plays out like it would on a television show, where you're watching them go through whatever they're going through, and then the scene shifts and it's the next thing. I try to write like that because it's kind of the only way I know how to write, really. But it's all of this was based on a show, and funny thing too was the first book in the series was originally a script that I had written like for myself, kind of. Um, to prove that I could do something better than that monstrosity of a reboot that they tried to do in 2018 for Charmed. Um, when that failure was on like season two, I was like, this is awful. I gave it a real solid chance. I could do better. And I, got to step down and I wrote a, script for like a pretty much like an outline script. It was basically book one, but like outlined as like a script for a season of a show, and then I turned it into like reformatted everything and turned it into an actual book because I started continuing it, because I wanted to know like where where I could take the story if I kept writing, and I 7 books later, well 7 in December 1st, the seventh book comes out, so we're 7 books deep now, and I've slowed down a lot on my creativeness. I'm running out of juice. I have ideas. I know where I want the story to go. There's just still like an empty gap in between where I want it to go and where we are currently that I need to bridge. And so I'm having a little bit of a tough time with that. The writer's block is real. But I mean, pushing out is I pushed out. I wrote books 6 and 7 this year alone
You
in
froze, Richie.
2025. So,
Nope, you're good to go.
okay. So I wrote book 6 and 7 this year. Um, and I wrote them relatively fast. It only took me like a couple months each book, not even. Um, and I feel like that's not that bad. It's sometimes it takes people a lot longer. So I feel like I really got out that story that I wanted to write because originally, for me, when I have these on my computer, it was only book 1 through 5, and they weren't for anybody else. It was just for me, and they ended how I thought the story should end. And then when I decided I was going to put these out, and I was like, editing through and reading through it and extending things and adding things in, deleting things, I was going through the whole process. And I got really immersed into the story, and I was like, wouldn't it be cool if it continued this way, though? And then I couldn't stop myself. The juices started flowing, and I just started writing. And I pushed out book 6 and 7, like pretty much right away. I got those done, and I was like in the middle of. I feel like that's where I lost myself because I finished writing book 7, and I really started promoting my books. And as an indie author, like if you aren't actively posting, if you're not actively always promoting your books, you will not get any sales. So it's like I started putting a lot of effort and work into promoting the ones that I had out. And then I had book 6 and 7, waiting. It's nice to have that. But now I'm at a point where, come December 1st, book 7 comes out, and I don't have another completed book after that. So now I really need to write because I need something, to continue the story. I can't just leave it there. So it's starting to be like a little bit of a pressure cooker situation, but I'll push through. I always do.
At what time do you see yourself being like, okay, my story has been heard, creative juices are gone? Is there a certain book that you said, this is it?
So book 10 will definitely be that book. I don't see. Um, I feel like there are opportunities for spin-offs and little side things, or maybe novellas here and there, but I feel like the main story of the Blessed Three is going to be over the course of these 10 books. and then at the end, there's a possibility. The way I have it imagined right now, there is a possibility that if Blessed Three ever became a big thing, I would have the ability to continue the story in another way a little bit, like a spin-off type situation, and keep the story going and keep the characters alive, just in different aspects. I don't know. I can't say it. I don't know how to. But I just know that I could keep the story going for as long as I really wanted to. Like, again, if this ever became a huge thing, um, I would love to be able to continue the story for like the next generation of people to enjoy. You know what I mean? So let's pray that happens. But I have ideas. You know.
We will. We've talked about prior on our first podcast, on our first go, how you bring magic into your books. And I know that wasn't
Uh,
solely based on, um, yeah, you just said it. What the hell is wrong
Charmed.
with me? Charmed, thank you.
Yeah. So I mean, not only the charm become was a big influence on the story of three witches fighting evil, but in my real life I have history with practicing. I my so in my family, actually, my great grandmother was a healer, and did witchcraft, things like that. So like I've grown up around this stuff my entire life. So that's another reason why I felt like it was the only kind of story I felt like I could write at the time too, because it's what I know. It's my comfort zone. I love anything witchy. Um, and I like to incorporate. Although I want to keep things my own and in my own little world, I do try to incorporate, um, realistically, if magic was real, how you would practice and what you would do and what you would need and the rules, and I try to put that in there as well based on the knowledge and experience that I have in my own life.
Is telekinesis the one power that you would want?
I wish. I would love to be able to freeze time too, not gonna lie. That would be amazing, but telekinesis would be handy because I'm lazy. So, like,
Valid.
like I could just, float some stuff towards me, and that would be great. That would make my life a lot easier. Not to mention, flinging my enemies like ragdolls would be, with the old flick of the
Come in
wrist.
handy.
That would
Hmm.
be. I would
Or
do it
have
maybe like Prue style from Charmed, where she was like, she like
or
threw her
having
whole.
superpowers. I mean, like not superpowers, but having super strength.
I would get worried about that. So I'm a big guy, and that's one thing that I've always feared is that I don't know my own strength. So like even in like situations where like I've been pushed against the wall where I need to fight somebody, I feel like I always hold back a little bit because I am so scared that I'll actually hurt somebody. So I would be freaked out if I had super strength because then I would definitely be living in fear that like what if I accidentally hurt somebody because I didn't know my own strength. So that's actually like, yeah, I would not want to be strong.
Are there times that you've been in physical altercations?
There have been, unfortunately. Not any time in my adult recent life, thank God. But I've had altercations, especially younger. Growing up, I was especially like young. I didn't come out until I was almost 20, um, because I was not in a safe situation where I could come out. You know what I mean? And I planned on living a closeted life. Thank God it didn't go that way. But it was I had to, I grew up in a neighborhood where, you kids fought for fun as boys, and then when you get into like high school and stuff, and you have to like, constantly like prove you're a man by doing all these stupid, foolish things. And so yeah, there's been multiple times where I had to do what I had to do, but that's always something that's always been in the back of my mind. Like I don't want to hurt anybody. Like so, I hate
Hmm.
fighting. I violence as a way to solve a problem. I hate that. It really actually like goes right through me. I can't stand when that's somebody's first thing is to like get physically violent. Like, what is that actually going to solve?
Nothing. You can talk. You can talk it through. And it goes back to the law of three.
Yeah, sure
So
does.
Any energy you put out, you receive, and it's going to come back threefold.
Mm-hmm. And
And we've
that's true.
talked.
I'm 100% believer in karma. Believe me.
Why do you think my dog's named Karma?
I love it. I am
Mm,
100% believer. What goes around absolutely comes around. And what you put out into the universe definitely comes back to you. And I feel like there's a book. It's called The Secret. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's basically that rule. Like what you put out is what you get back. So if you're just negative and shitty all the time, you're gonna be a magnet for negativity and shitty things and shitty situations. Um, if you're positive and you always, are thinking positive and you always believe in the best and you're always trying to be a good, positive person, you're going to attract positivity. You're going to attract positive things, positive people. So it's basically along that same line. What you get, what you give, kind of situation. So just if people want better, be better.
and we talked about this on our prior podcast, is people have a negative mindset of what witchcraft and spell work is, and most of us do not tip our toe or do not cross the dark threshold. Um, there's some
But
of
they
us
think
that
it's the
just,
devil
yeah,
automatically. The
it is
devil? No,
is
it's not.
not. It is
It
not
is not
devil
the
work.
devil. I promise
We do not
you.
worship Satan. That is not how um spell work or healing goes. Most of us, and I probably shouldn't even say most, there's a lot of us who just do healing and go back into shamanism ways. And that's how we keep it, because we want to be able to help people. We want to be able to, find herbs and find natural remedies to help others. Um, and the thing that gets me though is organized religion has made it to where anything that we do in spell work or anything we do in our beliefs is negative, and it's
Yep.
absolutely not. You can literally make a simmer pot, and guess what you're doing?
So you're freezing a little bit,
I know, it's being
but we're
ridiculous. Okay.
reconnecting. we're
No, I was just
reconnecting.
saying, like, simmer pots. Christians do simmer pots. Guess what that is?
Yeah.
It's kind of, and it's just
Yeah.
a horrible mindset, because that's not what we do. So
There are lots of things like we were talking about this in the last podcast. Wreaths on doors. Like there's so many things that people do in their everyday life that they don't realize comes from witchcraft. It's it's crazy. A lot of things that in the Catholic Church are mostly things that come from witchcraft. It's insane to me how many people um, don't see that and don't see that. Um, I don't know, like it's just closed minded to me to say that it's just to simply say like that's the devil and blah 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 and that's it. And you know, I know somebody who went from loving reading tarot cards and all these things to like deciding to go to church because I don't know why,
they
and
needed something. They needed
which
community. They needed
which is fine,
something
yeah.
to believe in.
I think it was more so about a guy, but um, she went to church and that was all fine. But then she like completely was like, "Oh, I don't want anything to do with tarot cards. That's the devil. The devil finds his way in through the cards and through this and Noah." And then like, I don't want you teaching my kids. Like I was like teaching her daughter like to read tarot cards and stuff like that. And she's like, "I don't want you teaching my kids this and that." Like she just suddenly like turned around completely and like was like, "Our Father, who art in heaven," like kind of situation. And it's like I believe in God too, just because I believe in other things and just because I practice other things, and I believe in Eastern medicine just as much as Western medicine, um, doesn't mean that I don't believe in God. But I do. But I also don't believe for a second that if I'm doing something with pure good intention, the devil has no place in that. Let's be real. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I'm protected, I'm safe, and I know that the only way that the devil's going to be involved in anything I'm doing is if I bring him into it, and that's not going to happen. My intention
1000%.
is, yeah, intention and manifestation is the most important thing. What you intend is important.
And it's important to note, though, that a lot of authors lately have been writing about witchcraft in their books to try to break the negative mindset on how witches are today. There are witches like you who believe in a god but still do spell work, who still do shamanism. And the aspect that you brought that to your book to try to change people's mindsets about it is beautiful, because if you look between the lines in any book, you will see so much more meaning than just words on a page.
Yeah, it's my entire book, in so many different ways, is to um, bring light and beauty to like marginalized groups. Like I really want that to be a thing in my writing, especially in the future as well. But putting a gay male lead, that was super super important to me. Showing witchcraft, that was important to me. Like, so these things of, you know, again, normally marginalized groups, like it, living through their experiences with them and going through that. I feel like that was something that was important to me. You don't have to be gay or into witchcraft to enjoy my books. You know what I mean? And it gives you a different perspective and a different light on things. And even if that's not your thing, you can be a God lover and you can go to church every Sunday. You can still read and love Blessed Three. Um, I feel like that's definitely, and I wrote that with that intent that anybody could read it. I want even a straight man to be able to sit down, read Blessed Three, knowing that eventually these two dudes are going to get together. But who cares? Like, that's not the, you know what I mean? It's not a big deal. There's so much more going on in the story that's, a side thing. That's not even like the main point. You know what I mean? Like, and it just, that's what eventually I want it to be, because right now this it's still kind of a taboo. Two men, oh my god, like you can't be in public and blah blah blah. A guy and a girl can walk around holding hands and kissing, and that's fine. If two dudes do it, we're gross for doing that in public. I want just being gay to just be a thing that people don't even admit, because you're not like, oh my god, you're straight. Do you say that to people? Like, you're straight? Oh my god. No, you wouldn't say
It's
that. So why does it matter? Oh my
disgusting.
god, I'm gay. Why can't, like,
Hmm.
I want being gay to get to that point where it just doesn't matter. Like, nobody talks about being gay or straight because it doesn't freaking matter. That's
Exactly.
where, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I tried to write my book like that so that anybody can read it, and it doesn't really matter that they're gay. That's not even the point of the book.
That is
Kind of
not the point
situation.
of the book.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean,
Mm-mm.
it's an important point of the book, but it's not like the point, and it's not like, throwing in your face like, look at these gay men, smutty sex. Bah. It's more like, watch these two fall in love, and see that it's not that different from, reading about a man and a woman falling in love.
I don't care about how much hate I'm probably going to get for saying this. Love is love.
Yeah.
Can we just leave it at that? Like, love is love. Everybody needs to get off this fucking bandwagon. Times have
Oh
changed. We're way past that now, everybody. Like, just
yeah.
get off the fucking
And
bandwagon.
it's gotten better. It's in a way it sucks that the new generation will never know the struggles of my generation. The new generation has it much easier, and yes, they still face hardships and they still face stuff, especially like now, with trans being such a more openly talked about thing. Nothing new, so everyone knows,
Just more
trans has
open.
been around for thousands of years, but but like it's just new because the gay people have become so much more accepting and loving of the gay community that it made another part of that community, the trans community, more comfortable that they could start saying it out loud more. And that's why we see a rise of more trans people use now. All of a sudden we hear, I'm trans more than anything in the world, from people, because now people are feeling comfortable enough, because the world changed and shifted a little bit more and became a little bit more accepting of gay people, and it made others feel more comfortable to start coming out. And now it's becoming a problem with the world, where everybody's like, trans is to blame for everything. It's like, it's so awful. It's so
But
so
can
awful.
but can I just say that I'm glad that the newer generation will not have as much struggle as we did. Like I'm thankful for that we broke that we're continuously breaking cycles.
Mhm.
That's what it's all about, the growth. And if we want people to be more open about, bisexuality, gay, lesbian, trans, then we're breaking everything else too. The
Yeah,
negative incognation of witchcraft and spell work. Um, so I'm glad that we put in the time and the energy to have more openness in our minds instead of trying to keep the barriers on the younger generation, if that makes sense.
it does.
I
100%.
started stuttering and then rethinking about it, and then
No, I
the more I
know.
try
I
not to stutter,
100%.
I stutter.
No, I agree with you 100%. It's the world is still so crazy.
The world is
It's
fucking crazy. I mean, regardless, do you see what fucking hellhole we're in right now?
yeah, yeah. I can't even get past it.
So, what is the one purpose, or let me rephrase that. What is one aspect that you want your readers to take from your books?
Um, I it's a good question. I want people to see that there is more. Um, first and foremost, a huge thing. At the end of book one, a huge thing happens, and that's life changing for one of the characters, and that's seemingly the end of a story. Some might take that as that's sometimes that's the end, but sometimes that's just the beginning of a story, and that was a takeaway that no matter how big or bad of a thing happens in your life, it's never just the end. Um, there is a way out. There is always an option B. There's always another road. Don't ever give up. Never stop hoping for the best, and never stop hoping for a brighter future, and never stop fighting for a brighter future. No matter what happens. And again, especially in terms of loss, 2017, my husband passed away, and that was the worst, most horrific, horrible time of my whole life. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody else. And but I could have used that loss and just you know faded away into the grief and done drugs, drank, and just gave up and tried to join them. Like there are other routes I could have gone, and I didn't, and I fought, and I'm still here, and I'm glad. And life is worth living, and life is still a blessing. And it's a little bit darker when you don't have those lights in your life that you had, but you find new lights as well. There are a lot of people in this world, and there's a lot of life to live. And I do believe that someday we'll all be together again. It's only goodbye for now when somebody leaves us. Just don't give up and keep going. That's, I would say, the most powerful, hugest message of these books.
The big thing that I got away from your books was love and being able to rely on people to pull you out of the darkest times. You are very big on mental health and you matter. If you need to pause the book, if you need to come back to it when you are in a better headspace, do it because um, I was supposed to have these books read way prior, and
the
life happened.
timing, the timing was so unfortunate. But I feel like
The
everything
time,
happens for a reason, and I feel like maybe the timing was necessary. You had to be reading this book, specifically what they were going through while you were going through it, and I feel like that gave you something special that not a lot of other readers are gonna have.
so listen here. I'm gonna tell you a story time, readers, listeners. Um, so Nicholas Sparks is known to make you cry, right? Like that is what he's known for. Last year, I woke up and I was just crying and I was like, my brother's gone. He's gone. I know it. He's gone. My husband's like, you just need a mental health day, read a book, lay in bed, do what you need to do. Nothing's wrong. Your parents call you. I'm like, I'm telling you, he's gone. In the book, in Nicholas Sparks' book, his brother dies. confirmation number one. And it took me so long to pick up a book. And then again, what happens? What happened 2 weeks ago, Richie? My cousin passed away. Things were happening in your books, and I'm like, dude, I have to pause. Like this is 2 times in 1 year. We're pausing. And you're like, dude, no
Yeah,
rush.
that's a
We'll
lot.
pause. Richie is very, very big on if this is too much for you right now, take a breather. You can
Yeah,
come back to it. You can choose not to come back to it.
mental
But
health
if
is
you,
important.
yeah, but if you come back to it, you see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's not over.
Yeah, literally. That's I write it out. It's very powerful because I want to draw. Even like so for you, it was a lot easier for you to immerse yourself into the story because you were going through something. So just imagine being, uh, Felicia, who's, had a wonderful life, never nothing bad damn things ever happened to Felicia. She just loves her fantasy books and she's reading along and, this bad thing happens and, it's important to me that no matter who you are, that I'm able to draw you into the story and get you feeling these emotions and let you know how painful this is and how bad this really is and how dark this is going to get and get those people feeling it. But then I also, at the same time, I want to let people know that, hey, you see that over there though? That's the light at the end of the tunnel. Relax. We're gonna get there. This is a journey. We're gonna do it together. Um, but when again, your timing was where you had to take a step back for a second and breathe, and that to me is important because I want people to read my story organically. I want people to enjoy it naturally, not feel rushed or, um, you know, like I it's important to me that if people are like too much in the moment, like back up, close the book, take a minute. It, it's it's just it deals with a lot of the grief stuff, and it's just real because I wrote it from such a real place. And we talked about this in the last podcast. It was very therapeutic for me to write book two of my series because of the amount of grief that I got out onto the page, and you know, when I finished book two, like I had said to you, I felt like by the time I got done, I realized that I was actually putting my grief into those pages and I didn't have to carry it anymore. Like I felt so much lighter, like that now that book holds the weight of my grief and I don't have to hold it anymore. But I can still remember it when I need to, you know what I mean? Because still a part of who we are, good and bad. Everything that's happened to us is a part of who we are, and we should embrace all of it. And your pain and your loss and your grief and your happiness, all of it is important and should be embraced equally. You know what I mean? So, of course,
One thousand
you know,
percent.
yeah, I don't want to just push it off forever and be gone, but it feels nice that I don't have to carry it so much anymore. And it's also nice that something so personal to me is out there and people are enjoying it and connecting to it and, um, feeling what it, taking that deep personal journey with me. It means the world to me, especially when people read it and then come back to me and they're like, oh man, like I was all over the place in there. Like, you took that journey with me. That was a real journey for me at one point in my life, and you kind of relived that journey with me. And it means the world when people read it. So that's another exciting part about my books too, that I have this really big joy in. Um, but like now is where like the story shifts. So book one and two are very much like real. There are other elements, throughout the entire series that's all based on real stuff. But now we're gonna start to, branch out into like me making some stuff up and making it fun, and the plot is gonna be plot and um, but it was very important for me to start off this story, especially so heavily based on real life references.
And I'm so glad you did. It's beautiful and warming, but also raw.
I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I really am, and I'm very glad that I stumped you on who you thought it was, and I'm glad. So now though that I can read it to you without saying anything a lot, but I'll tell you the part in book one that I told you about. That once you get to the end of book two, I'll read you that part.
Yes, please do.
So we're right here. This is them on the rooftop.
Mm-hmm.
the last chapter of that before they're back at the townhouse and Kayla picks up Colton's sweater and has the vision, and that's when they realize something's wrong and they
Wait, is
run.
this going to spoil this for the readers, the
Yes,
listeners? Yep.
it might. So I need you to read that last chapter to yourself. It's
Hmm.
right before back at the townhouse when they're back.
I was like, hold on, Richie, before you start just, reading it, but pay
Yeah,
attention,
it,
y'all.
it might. It might.
Pay attention.
But yeah, so in that, it's not. It won't really. So basically, this paragraph says the last thing he saw before everything went black was Richie's face, his bright, familiar, beautiful face, and then the world went dark. Colton fell from the rooftop. So yeah, you already know. I don't need to say anything else. So it's
Mm-hmm. I know. I can't
that
wait
was
for.
the beauty of also like writing multiple books before putting them out was a beautiful thing because I could go back at any point and reference things to foreshadow things. It just made the story flow together better because I had so much on my computer. You know what I mean? When I was working on book 5, I was like, oh, I can just jump back into book 1. It's and play around. It was just for me, so I got to have a lot of fun with that, with adding things in.
Did you self-publish?
I did, yeah. So I looked into other options. So I traditional publishing is super hard. Um, I spoke with a hybrid publishing company just to like weigh my options and stuff, and they read um, through the manuscript or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, we would love to work with you," blah blah blah. But when the price tag came, I was like, "Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be able to do business, friends."
What was the
And
price tag?
it was like $6,000.
Oh
So
shit.
and it's like hybrid publishing, they pay for half, you pay for half. It's that kind of situation, and then like you basically get all your money back before they start getting paid. So it's like a cool setup if it's the right hybrid publisher. But I found in my research that hybrid publishing is a scam. That for the most part, it's just them taking your money for all things you could just do yourself, and it's essentially going to get you like so how like sometimes I post and it just goes nowhere. That's the reality for no matter who's doing it, whether it's your hybrid publishing that you spent $6,000 on or whether it's you. It's just a $6,000 price tag difference. They're not doing anything that you can't do yourself, and I wasn't going to spend that kind of money. So I'm self-publishing right now is the best for me. But I would love to be traditionally published. I would love to, because I don't even care. I would pull that crap right off Amazon, like because that would be part of the deal. I'm sure I would have to pull it all down. We would have to redo everything and put it all out new, and I would be down for that just because I want as many people as possible to read the story. The dream is still for this to be a TV show. That's the ultimate goal. I would love for a director or a producer or whoever's in charge of this kind of thing, to read this book and realize the potential that it has to be the show of everybody's dreams. You know what I mean? It has aspects from all of these shows that people loved. If they love fantasy TV, this is going to be the show. Every fantasy TV lover would watch this. And that's the goal. I pray that one day my books become big enough that it gets read by the right person and they want to adapt it into a TV show.
That would be an
So
amazing dream,
HBO, call
Richie.
me.
Manifest it. Manifest
Yes,
it.
HBO, call me.
What is the next goal that you've set for yourself in writing your books? Other than other than making it into a TV show.
um I would really. So I have started. Did hire an artist to like. I want to do new covers for my books. So I do have an artist starting to work on them. So that's going to be something that's rolling out soon. I don't know.
Who's your artist?
Juniper Hartman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Who's also an indie author and just released a book. Um,
Hmm.
as well, I believe. can't remember the name of it for the life of me, but she just released a book as well. But she actually did Cece's covers for her books, so that's how I found Juniper. And she's fantastic, easy to work with. Cece's covers, I've seen them all, and they're gorgeous. She did such a good job, so I'm excited to see what she's gonna do. Um, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So that's going to be something huge. But my goal is to, have all new covers. I just started reformatting my books as well. You're reading, I think, the newest format. So before it looked like crazy hell. Um, Especially like on Kindle, I could not get it to line up right on the page. It was just not working right. So thank God with the reformatting program that we're using just really helps to make sure that it's perfect for like the e-copies, and now it's like perfect reads. I feel like it's there. It looks beautiful. Even on the Kindle, I've seen it. I'm like, oh my god, I love it.
No, I cannot wait to see them. It's going to be
Yeah,
amazing, Richie.
I'm very excited, and I would like so December 1st, book 7 is going to come out, and then I would like to at least within a year of that have a date for book 8.
Are
So
you
anytime
working?
before I
Go ahead.
am I working on. I'm sorry.
Are you working on a different series as well, or are you sticking with this series?
So I so I have book 8 that I'm working on the side right now, but I also am working on another series. Non Blessed Three related. So this series is called the Unease series. It's going to be a trilogy, and it's going to be like a horror slasher. Everything that Blessed Three is not, it's going to be. It's going to be dark. It's going to be very spicy, and it's going to be like a horror slasher thing. The spice is just going to be like like I'm trying to keep it more horror slasher than anything. But when they're gonna go at it, they're gonna freaking go at it. I'm not gonna hold back. So
Okay.
that's gonna be some spice, but the main core plot is gonna be slasher horror. And so I have 3 books in that I want to write. The first one is gonna be, oh my god, I'm forgetting what it's gonna be called now. Oh my god, hold on, I have it somewhere. I have it
So,
outlined.
is it going to be an MM book?
Um, I think so. I do like. I feel like that's the only kind of character I know how to write for sure. That's the only
Listen,
story
I
I know
love
how to
an
tell.
MM, and
So I
as you
would
should.
love. I would love to have a gay male lead, for a horror book too. Like just to again prove that it doesn't have to be a final girl. Like, you know what I mean? It'll be a final queen,
Hmm.
bitches. um, so it's the Unease series. I forgot exactly how I wanted to type those. I have it right here somewhere. Messages. Where? Here we go. So the first book I want to be called Panic. The second book I want called Dread, and the third book I want called Terror. And yeah, it's the Unease series, and this is the mock-up of the killer. Hold on. Go.
The Unaliver.
He's called the Weeper. And the scary thing about the Weeper is that he like legit is crying, like sobbing under that mask. The whole time that he's like chasing and killing his victims, unaliving his victims. So yes, he's called the Weeper. So like just imagine like being in the very first the prologue, because I've already written the prologue and the first chapter of the first book. In the prologue, there's obviously the Drew Barrymore of the series, the first one to get killed, and while that's all playing out, like he's in the closet or they're in the closet, and the girl is like, "Hello, is somebody there?" And then all she hears in the dark is like, like crying coming from the closet. And then like this big ass, you know, seemingly a dude bursts out of the closet, and it's with a knife, and she's got to run for her life, and it's a whole chase scene. It was pretty cool. It was actually really fun to write, and that was such a huge difference. Because in Blessed Three, it's I want to make people laugh, I want to make people cry, I want to make people feel all the emotions and feel like they're a part of the Blessed Three family, they're a part of the coven, they're safe, And then in the Unease series, I really want people to feel anything but safe. I want them to be nothing but afraid the entire time, and that's completely different from what I'm used to writing. So I'm excited to see how that progresses. Like, I want people to
So what
read
you so what you're
the Unease
actually
books
saying
after reading Blessed Three and be like, "There's no way this is the same guy."
so what you're saying is you're ready to fuck shit up this time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
I wanna do something crazy and unhinged and but fun still, and keep my same little messages in there, but like just do something completely different. Like again, I want them to feel like, oh my god, this is like two separate people wrote these books because you know what I mean? I feel like it was easy for me to write Blessed Three because again, based on reality, based on real people, it was easy for me to write these characters. So to start off in a genre that I've never written, to start off with all fresh characters, new people, like a whole thing, and just completely make this story from the ground up. I'm excited to see, how that plays out and how I manage that. So
Yep.
far, it's been kind of fun.
We're excited to see where it goes.
Yeah,
So thank you so much, Richie, for coming on
of
and
course.
talking about Blessed Three. Is there anything else? Well, Blessed Three and the trilogy, the whole series. Um, is there anything that you would like your listeners or your readers to know?
Just if you're trying to be a writer, um, don't give up. Just write. If you're too scared that people aren't gonna like your book, don't be. There's always gonna be somebody that's gonna like what you write. Just put it out there, even if it's just for you, so that you can have your own physical copy of your book on your shelf. Do it. It's worth it. This was a hobby. This was something just for me, and the fact that it turned into actual money, actual people enjoying it and talking about the characters and talking about the books and actual for lack of a better term fans of what you created. It's such a good unique feeling, and I work a full-time job. I go to school full-time besides the author stuff, and being an indie author is very very difficult on its own, all on its own. So it's very easy to be discouraged and to want to give up, and people connecting with the stories and the way the good parts about being an indie author make it all worth it, and I don't want anybody to not experience that. So my advice to anybody listening: if you want to write, write. If you don't want to write and you're a reader, then you need to be reading Blessed Three, and you need to just shut this podcast off and go read Blessed Three. It's available on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited.
And to everybody who's starting off writing, imposter syndrome is real. All writers go through it. All writers
Yes,
say,
every
okay,
single
you
one
know
of
what?
us.
Fuck it. We're going to DNF our book. Every single author. So if you think that you're alone in feeling like that and just wanting to throw away your ideas and throwing away your book, you're not alone. Don't do it. Everybody feels that way and then they make it big. So go with your dreams. Chase it.
Absolutely, chase that dream.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Richie. Everybody go follow him on TikTok, by the way. Follow
Yes,
Richie
thank you
Rivera.
for having me. So thank you so much. Yes, it's Richie Pinero Rivera on Facebook. I am at Richie Rocks Out on everything else.
Richie
So
what
make sure you
on
guys follow me.
everything else?
It's so Richie Pinero Rivera on Facebook and on Instagram, Snapchat, everywhere else. It's at Richie Rocks Out.
Thank you for
So
letting us all know. I
of
appreciate you joining today,
course,
Richie.
yes. Thank you for having me, Will. I appreciate you.
Of course, you can come on anytime.
Thank you.
Bye.